Well, it's kind of funny. People will often ask like how you got into forestry or how I got into forestry. And I grew up in a forestry household, forestry family. My dad is a lifelong forester, and my mom worked in forestry in public affairs. And so it was definitely present, but I wasn't interested at all. Like, I didn't think that that was a career for me. I actually didn't even really like hiking with my family, I think, until I got older, probably mostly because it wasn't mine. It wasn't my passion. And so I think when I really started to appreciate trees and really start to be passionate about them was in college. I started college actually as a civil engineering major. I think it was just a high school math teacher who told me, hey, I think you would be a good civil engineer. And so I ran with it. I don't think people realize how influential we can be, especially to kids. And so I started in civil engineering. I got through, most of the first year, and I was sitting in a design class, in an AutoCAD class, and it was the second or third class, and the professor, she was telling us what our job would be like after we graduated. And she said, well, you're going to be spending every day doing AutoCAD, fixing other people's designs, sitting in your office. And I just thought to myself, that does not sound fun. And so I made the switch over to forest engineering. It's a pretty good switch because it's still problem solving. You still get to design roads and different transportation networks, but you get to do it while being outside in the forest, which is ideal. And so, yeah, and then once I started taking some of the forestry classes, I think I had more ownership in forestry. It wasn't just my family's thing. I started learning and becoming more knowledgeable about it. And then kind of the passion grew from there. I even remember taking a dendrology class, a tree identification class, and annoying my roommates with like all of my leaf samples like up on the wall, taped to the wall, and then telling them tree facts like unsolicited. And even now, one of my previous roommates, she whenever we spend time together outside, she'll say, hey, tell me a tree fact, because she knows I just love to share. So yeah. So after college, I graduated with my forest engineering degree, and I started working as a forester and forest engineer for a very small family-owned company. I helped manage 26,000 acres, which is big, but also very small for an industrial company. And so that was a super fun job. I got to be really hands-on in a lot of different things. The engineering side, of course, doing harvest unit layout and planning and road design, culvert design, bridges, but then also getting to do all of the contractor admin on those projects. So working with the people who actually do the work and seeing how they do it and all the different things that go into that, which I didn't really think that I would like so much, but I absolutely loved. It was one of my favorite parts of my job. And then also doing a lot of other fun little projects, helping people out. So cruising, doing forest inventory, and then burning piles and helping even with a little bit of reforestation. And so it was a really fun job to get to do a lot of different things. Yeah, Joe, my first job out of college, he was just really empowering to me as a new forester. I honestly learned how to use a lot of new tools in my first job because we were very hands-on and did a lot of things ourselves, even like fixing gates on our property and doing a little bit of welding and things like that. And so I didn't really know how to use any of those tools. I didn't grow up using them. And so I would often try it myself, and he was in our shop a lot. He lived on the property. And so he would kind of walk by and look at what I was doing and probably make sure there weren't any like big safety hazards. And then he would always say, like, do you want me to help or do you want me to let you do it? And I just really appreciated that because he was kind of reaching out to make sure I didn't need help, but also wanted me to just do it on my own if I wanted to. So I just ended up learning, and I learned a lot from him. I mean, he spent his whole life working outside and in farming, fishing, and then forestry for the most of his career. So he was just like a wealth of knowledge, as a lot of people are. But the one thing that was kind of missing from that job was the person aspect. I think I've always kind of felt this way, even as a child, that it's so interesting to learn about people's passions and their life stories. And how that influences how they view the world and the choices they make and who they are. And so I decided to take this new job that I'm currently in at Starker Forest, and I'm a forester, and then I'm also a forest educator. And with that, I get to just teach people about forestry, and I get to bring Luna to work. Come here, Luna. Yeah, and so one of my favorite parts of my job is getting to hear from people, hear their stories, and how that might influence how they view forestry. And even if that's different than my view on forestry, it's not wrong, and I can also just share with them my experiences, and it might just be that they don't know the science behind forestry or the way we're actually managing our property. And so it's just really interesting to get to know people and have that person aspect. So I enjoy that about my job a lot. So when I think of being a woman who knows the woods, well, the first thing that comes to mind is just all of the incredible women that I know that work and live and play in forests. I've met so many incredible people, and specifically women who I look up to a lot and have really influenced my journey. And so first I usually think of them, and also it's kind of camaraderie building, right, to be a woman in a male dominated field. So I feel like we often are attracted to each other and form friendships that way, which is really nice. And then I also just think about I guess being proud to be even playing a very small role in stewarding such an important natural resource here in Oregon. I mean, forests are so vital to our state and really our country and world, but I know mostly about Oregon, and so I'm just really honored to get to do that in my work and in my everyday life. And then I guess the last thing is when I see women who know the woods, I always think, well, yeah, I might know some, but I just have a lot more to learn. And so I am also really thankful to be in a job where I get to learn something new every day. I mean, forests are always changing, so it's really fun and an honor to get to learn more about them in my job and also in my life. So